Hello, I'm TJ Vandermeer. I'm a seminarian studying for St. Peter's. St. Peter's is currently closed because of COVID, but I'm staying here with Father Chris and the other priests until the seminary opens. So I just thought I would introduce myself and tell you a little bit about my vocation story. So I grew up in Woodstock, Ontario, and I had a very faithful family. We were all homeschooled all the way through. And it was just a really, really faithful environment. We prayed before we started any classes or any schooling. And we prayed the rosary together, and we went to Mass every Friday, sometimes more often than that, and of course Sundays. And it was just a really good environment to grow up in. And I think a reflection of this was actually when I did my first communion. After I had received Jesus for the first time, the priest passed around the microphone and asked us what we wanted to be when we grew up. And I said I wanted to be a priest. So even at a young age, I think, God had been speaking to me through different ways. And so that was a real blessing. And but I grew up a normal life, I would say. I finished high school, and the call to the priesthood kind of, diminished a little bit at the end of high school, and I went and I worked in construction for 2 years, and that was a really good time for me. It allowed me to mature, I think, and to grow into the person that God wanted me to be, or wants me to be. And it was at the end, closer to the end of this time, that the call to the priesthood really re-emerged. And I remember thinking one day, I had been working on a particular job site for several months, and I remember stopping midway through the day and looking back at what I had been working on for months and thinking, is this it? Is this all I'm going to do my whole life? It wasn't exciting for me. It wasn't fulfilling. And I think that was really what brought me to consider the priesthood again. It had always been a thought in my life, but this is what made me to consider it more seriously. And so I went to a come and see at the seminary, and it was at this one where God was or I heard God's voice during adoration, and He told me TJ, priesthood is really good, and maybe it's for you, but you're not quite ready yet. And that was actually a really good experience. It kind of brought me a little bit of freedom, I thought, because I was kind of scared to go to the seminary. I didn't really want to, but so I was kind of relieved with that answer. And so then I went back to construction. So that was after a year, that come and see at the seminary. And so then I worked for another year, and then I really felt the call. I still need to go back to the seminary, because I knew that I wasn't finished with my discernment. So I went to another come and see, and it was at this one. It's funny because it was the same weekend, and it was, the same program, and I went to the same chapel, the same adoration, the same Jesus, but this time it was very different. And I really heard God say, TJ, I want you to apply. And I was really scared to apply. I eventually applied, and I was really hoping to be declined, but I wasn't. So I was accepted to the seminary, and honestly, I've been in there for 4.5 years now, going on 5, and it's been really a real blessing, for sure. Some of my best friends I've made in that building, and God has really blessed me through that. I've come to know more about God, know more about His church, and even know more about myself. I've come to a lot of opportunities, I guess, to practice my skills and to develop them, and to figure out what brings me joy, what brings me the fulfillment that I wasn't getting in the construction. And so I don't know yet if God's calling me to be a priest for sure, but He's really blessed me on this path, and I'm really grateful to be able to continue on it. God's so good to me, and I think if I could give one word advice to anybody who's maybe discerning the priesthood or religious life or something like that, and that would be pray. Right? It's, when I was in that adoration before the Blessed Sacrament, both times God spoke to me through that, and I got 2 very different answers, but it's what I needed to hear at that time in my life. So, just be open to listening to God, and whatever He wants to tell you, He'll tell you. So, Yeah, God bless you, and thank you for letting me stay here in your parish. Hopefully I'll be able to meet all of you before I have to go home. But yeah, it's a real blessing to be here. Thank you. God bless you.